Welcome everyone to my second try at making a Wicso inspired series on my fantasy map. Last time I did this, my video turned out very bad. The video was way too zoomed out. The audio sounded like shit. I bet it still does sound like shit, but ignore that. But yeah, I am basically going to be trying again to, maybe make a better video. I hope you guys like it. Yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. So, before I can, get to the actual Wicso part, I'm going to need to explain the lore of this series. Basically, sibor is a planet that has life, but no intelligent life. It's also very magical and stuff. Don't want to get into that part right now, but basically, what happens is a space civilization called the Vanzigs land over here and basically, establish a settlement. Now, this isn't a country per se because the Vanzigs sort of live in semi-anarchy, but it doesn't matter. They all just, spread all throughout the planet, stuff. But the first country to actually be established is over here, and it's called Wicso. Basically centered around this major city. They are the first country to really just, exist. All other things have been like small city-states, small cities, but they eventually got overthrown. But Wicso is the first country to really become, a country. Anyways, their capital will predictably be in the only major city that they have, also named Wicso. Anyways, we will quickly see Wicso continue to expand up north here. Basically just taking as much land, especially around this very, populated river. So yeah, after a few years, we have Wicso looking like this. Pretty big for the first country in the world. But we see something that will greatly change, the course of history. Right now, Wicso is the first country, and of course, the concept of civilization and countries is sort of like locked off to them. But somewhere around, somewhere far away, basically people hear of this, idea of civilization and they're like, hey, I actually like this. So yeah, we see our second country be formed all the way down south in Rusuni. Rusuni is basically, the people of Rusuni basically hear that, Wicso up here has been expanding and, they've been prospering as a country and they're like, hey, I like that. So Rusuni's capital will be over here, but before we can focus on these two, we need to look at one more event, that being the formation of Zoo. Zoo basically has the same story as Rusuni. They heard about Wicso, and civilization. They're basically like, hey, I like that. We have Zoo looking like this, and they put their capital in this city here. Anyways, we basically see Wicso go on like super fast expansion, They basically just take over this area, with this major city. They take over this island. And they just set up a few overseas territories over here. They also set up a few overseas territories here, as they basically just, slowly but surely expand them down south. Anyways, down here, Wicso actually expands way more as, they basically just want to control as much of this bay as possible. So yeah, at Wicso's peak, we have them looking something like this. But, as with every empire, what comes up must come down, and Wicso certainly isn't going up. We basically have rebels in this city pop up, because like their standard of living, I don't know what happened there. It's gotten really, really bad, and they want Wicso to do something about it. But yeah, Wicso isn't gonna do like anything, so the rebels just keep advancing, Now, at first this isn't really military, militaries don't really exist, but then we see Wicso sent a special type of police force to deal with these rebels. Now these forces are what is considered to be the first type of, soldiers. Basically they have, weapons, and they basically just go around, to kill the enemy and stuff. Yeah, we basically see this revolution spread up here and even to the small island. Anyways, we have another revolution starting over here, basically encircling these guys and, getting rid of them. And they basically just take over all this land here. And last but not least, we have another country rebelling down south here. So yeah, at this point, Wicso basically just gives up, and they choose to just give these guys independence. So yeah, the peace treaty basically goes like this. Not much, changes, but might as well mention it. Anyways, Wicso learned nothing from this. Basically chooses to expand this way. So yeah, after this, we have Wicso looking something like this, but this time they're actually pretty stable. Now, these two countries down south will basically, do the same thing. They expand, over here to the east, and mainly towards the south. Anyways, you might be wondering, what have Zhu and Rusuni been doing this whole time? Well, Zhu has actually set up an overseas territory in this area over here. Now, this doesn't really matter, but, it's nice and stuff. They also expanded themselves, up to this mountain range up here, which basically gives them very good defenses. Not like they really need them. So, anyways, Rusuni has been consolidating themselves around this river, and that has went really well for them. Until now. Rusuni basically realizes, oh, these guys are super large, we have to expand too. And basically, the people of Rusuni are split between three, ideas. One idea is to, expand out here into the west. One, and by far the biggest, is to expand in the eastern direction. And the southern part of the country basically just wants to expand south. Anyways, without anyone being able to pick like a concrete idea, do we go east or west or south? Attack this guy? Now, without them being able to pick, an idea, they will basically just choose to split into three. We have this western area called Border Cross splitting off, and we also have this region down here splitting off. So yeah, well, this is definitely a really major blow to, the power of Rusuni. They are actually in a way better position now because they can actually expand east and stuff. So yeah, we basically see Rusuni expand along this river, taking all of this land. And yeah, they just choose to to shoot out east to take that capital. Yeah, they're basically doing really well right now. Anyways, Border Cross and this southern guy right here, I don't know what to call these guys. Anyways, these two basically just expand in their own directions. Border Cross goes up west where they wanted, taking over this area here, becoming really strong, just as strong as Rusuni actually. And then this southern country down here will be taking all of this land. Anyways, for the last event of this video, we basically see this country over here called Arunisu expand. They take over this major city and just, push themselves east. East, okay. They basically just push themselves in the eastern direction, but we actually have like a country over here rebelling against them. This revolution comes literally out of nowhere, and Arnis is basically like, oh hell no you don't. So they just send out their military to take over this area. They basically just want to put this rebellion down, take back their land. This rebellion isn't gonna go down without a fight. We basically see why Sal is supporting these rebels, which, helps them out as they make like a pretty big offensive down south. They also make an encirclement in these two areas, one over here, which just got obliterated, and then another one here. So, yeah, at this point, Aronisu sees they are not going to be able to win the war, so they're basically like, okay, we'll give you independence, whatever, let's just stop this. And this rebellion up here is like, okay, so yeah, we basically just see a new country pop up over here, and Aronisu gets a bit weaker. So, yeah, that's basically it for this video. I guess see you in the next one. Bye!